Buongiorno! Today we're making one of my favorite Italian recipes. This is a gnocchi, potatoes and cheese. It's the perfect heavenly combination, and when you make them and the taste and the texture that are in your mouth, they're literally like pillows, and they're just pillows of heaven. And it's so easy to make. It's not intimidating. You know, when I first started making them, I thought like, oh my god, it's so hard, all those potatoes and all that flour. So I found an easier technique. So these are some potatoes that I have that are already pre-baked at 350 degrees for just an hour plus, until they were just nice and tender. And before I bake them, if you can see, there's some holes over here that I puncture with a little bit of fork, so that way there's steam that could be evaporated out of the potatoes. Because the more steam you have, the more flour you require and the more dense they get, so you don't have that super delicate potato flavor, and they're a little bit more chewy. But I like my gnocchi a lot lighter, so that's what I do. I just make sure that I poke enough holes in them so that way as much moisture can evaporate as much as possible. Another quick technique is these have been cooled overnight. The reason why is because, again, when a potato is hot or it's just enough to handle, there's still steam coming out, right? So there's still moisture being evaporated out of that potato, meaning what? Yes, you have to add more flour because more moisture requires more flour. So if they're chilled, very minimal flour. If they're chilled, very minimal flour is required. So that's why I pre-bake these. They're chilled and they're ready to use and to eat. So cut in half. Just like so. So I'm gonna take my spoon and just scrape out the potatoes. It's very easy to do. I mean, they're just literally just coming out of the shell. All right, so that's all of my potatoes that I just scooped out. And you can see there's almost practically no moisture, but it's still gonna require flour because that's what's gonna bind. I'm gonna use one of these things, they're called a ricer. You can pretty much buy it almost anywhere now. They're very easy to use and they make great mashed potatoes or anything puree, and it's a quick and easy tool, very affordable, and it makes your work so much easier. So I'm gonna start with putting some potato in there. See that? Just nice and slow. See, just coming out super easy. And this is another secret why the gnocchis are so fluffy, is when you actually take the time and put them in a ricer, as opposed to, I don't know, whatever it is that you do. But it's not a good idea. Ricer is always the best technique to do. We're going to add 1 egg, some pecorino romano cheese. Pecorino romano is a little bit peppery, definitely a little bit salty, and just very buttery in flavor. It's quite tasty. So I'm gonna use just a little bit in here. I'm gonna use a combination of pecorino romano and parmesan. Now parmesan's gonna add like the nuttiness to the dish. I love parmesan cheese. It's probably one of my favorite cheeses to eat. It's like heaven. We're gonna add just a little bit of flour. You can always add again, but you cannot subtract, so you gotta be careful. Just start a little bit at a time. See how this goes. Now remember, there's very little moisture in here, so we might not need as much flour as you would in like another recipe, because other recipes call for, you know, steaming hot potatoes. So that's why we want to be gentle and careful with how we do it. So start on a low speed and start getting everything going. All right, I'm gonna see how it looks. You can see it's not sticking to my finger, but just a little bit. I still need to put just a little bit more flour in here. I'm gonna taste it and see if I need to add more cheese. Definitely a little bit more cheese. Some pecorino romano, and of course, the king of kings, the parmesan. Remember, this is gluten-free flour, so it doesn't act the same as your regular all-purpose flour, so that's why we really want to be careful of how we do this. You always want to adjust accordingly. All right, let's see how we look. Nice, that looks like a perfect little log, doesn't it? That's about right. And I just want to show you guys at home what it looks like. See? That's the kind of consistency that you're looking for. Now, you guys can freeze these little balls and just take them as you want, or what I like to do is I actually like to make everything ahead and then just freeze them for later, and then whenever you want some fluffy, delicious pillows at home, they're always in your freezer and ready to go. So here we go. Roll them out just enough so you have good pieces of gnocchi. Just kind of cut little bite-sized pieces with it. Now, some people will take forks or, you know, those gnocchi boards and just kind of do one of these things on like the back of the fork, just kind of push it and just, you know, roll it and do one of those things, but that takes so much time. This is what I like to do. I actually like to take a bowl, add a little bit of flour in there, take these gnocchis, put them in the bowl just like that, and just toss them. I'll show you why. So look what happens when you toss them in the bowl a little bit. See how they get nice and round? See, that's what I like. I like them nice and round gnocchis. Look at that. I mean, just, it's perfect. All right, so start rolling it out. So now it's time for the sauce. We're making a sun-dried basil tomato cream sauce. So we got some garlic here. We're just gonna quickly chop them. Okay. Doesn't have to be super fancy chopping, just make sure it's just nice and chopped. Now it's time for the shallots. So same thing. The sun-dried tomatoes. Perfecto. All right, so now I'm going to show you how to make this sauce, so let's get cooking. We're going to get the pot nice and warm. We're going to add about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. We're going to add the garlic. We're going to add the diced shallots, touch of salt, and pepper, so that way the aromas can start coming out of the garlic and shallot, but at the same time help them sweat and not burn. So you want to sweat it over a medium-low heat depending on your stove range. You just don't want the garlic to burn. Okay? You just want the natural aromas to come out. So this is sweating. Okay? So if you have a look, that's kind of like what we're looking for. See how translucent that is? That's what we want. There. That looks about right. See? I want to add my chicken stock, and it's going to be acting like a deglaze as well. Alright, so now that the stock is out of boil, we're going to be adding our heavy cream. And we're going to be adding our sun-dried tomatoes. We're going to be adding some of the Chef Brik black garlic and shallot rub. Alright. And we're going to be adding some fresh basil leaves in here. Alright, so now that the sauce is complete, it's been simmering for about roughly 15 minutes. Now I'm going to take a hand blender and I'm going to pulse this so it's nice and creamy. Alright guys, so you see that? There's a couple that are coming up right now. I'm just going to wait for a few more because they're all going to start floating to the top and they're done. See, look at that. Look how they're popping up. I'm gonna start dumping them right into the saute pan. Alright, so now I'm going to add our sauce that we made earlier. Okay, pour that right in here. Alright, so here I go. I'm going to start plating these gnocchis a little bit at a time. That looks just like about a portion that I would devour in a heartbeat. Boom, just like that. Maybe just, why not, a little splash of oregano on here. Some color, some herbs. There you go, guys. Gluten-free potato gnocchi with a sun-dried tomato cream sauce. You can't get any better than this. What? Bon appetit and enjoy.